What's up guys, Allure here. I've gotten a lot of questions after I've done the on-tap video for BLR, for Blacklight Retribution. Got a lot of questions about the specific setup I was using, so I figured what better way to get that information out there than to just go ahead and show you guys. So let's jump in here real quick. In terms of, let's look at my weapon first. The weapon is the most important part of the setup, obviously. I'm going with a submachine gun. Okay, so pretty straightforward, just a submachine gun. I guess to get started, let me explain kind of the thought process behind this setup. I'm going with the SMG because I like that really fast run and gun, like jump up in somebody's face and do damage play style. And the SMG is just really good for that. It does the best damage close range due to hitting is like the accurate spread, or the close range. The closer you get with the spread with the SMG is what I'm trying to say here. The closer you can get with an SMG, you just do tons of damage. It has a very fast fire rate, one of the fastest fire rates in the game if I'm not mistaken, and definitely the fastest full auto fire rate. Which means if you can get up in somebody's face, you can do a whole lot of damage. Now, in order to make sure that I'm not just a sitting duck running around everywhere though, and also just sort of help keep myself mobile, I focus on lowering the spread as much as possible. I make it so that it's just extremely accurate while also having an extremely high fire rate, which means I'm still effective at sort of medium ranges, and I can be effective at long range with it as well. It's just a little bit harder. I have to use a little bit more of a like a burst fire when I do that. And it just means that in closer ranges, I don't actually have to go into iron sights. I don't actually have to go into the aim down sight mode. I can actually just hip fire it in close range and take people down really quickly and easily that way. So starting with the SMG, the muzzle I'm using the Vulcan R36 Spectrum at the moment. And again, remember the point is to get my spread as low as possible. There is another one, I believe it's this one, that I'll use sometimes as well. It's got lower maximum spread and a little bit lower recoil, but a little bit slightly higher hip spread. The other nice thing about this one is that it's a suppressed muzzle, so it's a silenced muzzle. Doesn't mean a ton in terms of gameplay, but it's nice to have a little bit of extra. So sometimes I'll use that one as well. Lately I've been using this one though, the Vulcan R36 Spectrum. The barrel I use the Titan FFB57 extended barrel. Really, it just has the lowest spread, and it also adds a little bit to the range as well if you compare it to some of these other ones. You may notice that my damage is actually pretty low. It's 43, which I believe is about, I think 42 is actually the lowest you can get on SMG. The general philosophy there is it doesn't actually matter if I'm missing 1 or 2 damage off of each bullet if I'm hitting with one more. Like if I'm doing 40, I guess 40 is the lowest you can get. If I'm doing 40 more damage because I hit with one more bullet, then it's better in the long run. There's one of these later barrels that I haven't unlocked yet, this one here, that has a bit lower, again, one less damage, but lower hip spread, lower aim spread, and a little bit longer range on it as well. In fact, it's quite a bit longer range. I will probably be experimenting with this barrel once I actually reach level 25 and thus have unlocked it. The magazine I'm using, right now I'm using the quick magazine, quick reload magazine. That's available from level 1, so anybody should be able to use that. I'm almost level 16. Once I reach level 16, I will be switching to the extended magazine. It basically just means having the 15 more bullets in the actual magazine means I don't have to reload as often, and it also means up against somebody else who doesn't have the extended magazine, I win in a firefight if it lasts long enough. I will not run out of bullets as quickly as he does. So right now, using the quick magazine for the faster reloads, we'll be switching to this one as soon as I get one more level. The Vulcan STD04XLS. Basically just the extended magazine. It's the one that's all curvy like that. Scope doesn't matter too much. I use a hollow scope. I don't like using one of these like more scopy scopes, I guess you could call it, one of the more long-range scopes. I don't like using those so much. I like being able to duck into the aim and really quickly get some shots off. I was using, right now I've been using a hollow scope. I think either one of them is fine. I like the way this one looks. The other one is pretty much the same in terms of effectiveness. I was for a little while using this thing, but I ended up not really liking it too much. The problem you have with this is when you go into your aim down sights mode, just the boxiness of it obscures so much of your vision that it's actually just worthless at that point. You're not able to even see what you're firing at. So I much prefer the hollow scopes. I've been using the OPRL quite a bit lately. Really like that one. The crane is good as well if you are level 10. And if you're not high enough level to use any of those, I would actually recommend just going with something straightforward, like just an aim point like this thing is a decent one. Whoops. Or just no scope at all. Stock, I'm using the Silverwood BRS. Again, it's just got the lowest spread of what's available to me, and a pretty decent recoil as well. So it's just, you can see this one has a little bit lower spread, but the recoil is much higher. So I'm actually, I actually prefer using the Silverwood BRS. It also has a bit higher maximum spread. So that's the stock I've been using. I don't believe there's actually a better one. I believe I'll be using that one. Maybe eventually looking at this one because it also has lower recoil, has a little bit higher basic or starting spread, but lower maximum spread. So I may eventually, once I reach level 30, experiment with this one a little bit. But in the meantime, the Silverwood BRS is extremely good. And then for my weapon tag, I'm using just a regular old accuracy weapon tag. It really just it lowers the hip spread by just a tiny little bit. If you wanted it, reduced recoil is also fine, and in fact reduced recoil actually gives a lower maximum spread also, so I may experiment with that a little bit, but it's not a huge difference either way. I've just been using the accuracy one, and then of course camo doesn't actually matter, so I haven't been using anything there. My secondary weapon, I'm actually using a pre-made revolver at the moment. I'm using the Crane Rival All-Star. I like the revolver because when you're in with this sort of run and gun in your face action, and you run out of bullets in this thing, it may be less important once I can get the extended magazine. But when my clip runs out, if I can switch over to the revolver and just get one shot off with that in a hurry, it's actually really nice. And it does have this little scope on it, which increases my accuracy if I want to try and pick somebody off from range. I was using a custom revolver setup for a while, but honestly the pre-made one just seems to be fine for cheaper. I don't use my secondary, my sidearm, all that often, so it's not really worth it for me to spend that much effort going into actually customizing that. In terms of equipment, I mostly have it focused on kind of a balanced setup. At the moment, I actually have 5 gear slots unlocked, which is a little bit too much. I would like to find a more optimal setup, but I'm mostly just focusing on having a decent amount of health, a decent amount of stamina. Those are my two most important stats. I like to be able to sprint a lot, and I like to be able to survive being in the sort of short-range combat. So that's the setup I've been going with there. I've got the Guardian Warmonger as my chest piece, and I have the Daedalux Skirmisher as my boots. And then I don't actually have any trophies, so those don't matter. I've been using the heal injector. This stuff here doesn't matter too much. Been using the heal injector, combat knife, and then the frag grenade. I've been looking into maybe trying out the proximity mines once I get to those as well. There's a lot of stuff you can do there. And I've been thinking also about switching out the heal injector for the cloak. Whoops. So I might try that out at some point also. But that's what I've been going with for the moment. A lot of people were having questions about that, so I thought I would put together a video to show you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.